Greetings, salutations. Unfortunately for you, I'm back with another video. I need to get a video out. It's been a minute since I put a video on my channel, and this one's kind of free form, loosey goosey, because there's really no theme. It's me over analyzing a meme and putting a clickbaity title on it because I know it'll get views that way. And that is we know the meme by now. It's almost an antique at this point. If you drop it, it's gonna break. So you die, you go to heaven. St. Peter takes you over to the table. It's a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Gary Gygax is the player, and so is Dave Arneson. Oh, sweet. Who's the game master? J.R.R. Tolkien. This will be horrible, and I'm going to explain to you why. So, I want to say, first and foremost, I have the utmost respect for Tolkien. He's one of my top three, and my personal top three are like, nobody has preeminence over the other. It's just whatever mood I'm in to read at the time. So, there you go. I don't value my top three one more important than the other. And speculative fiction as a whole would look, and not just speculative fiction, writing in general, storytelling in general, would look a lot different without Tolkien's contributions and, the works of Middle Earth. That being said, Tolkien would be a horrible game master. Here's why. So, surprise, surprise, an Oxford professor who specializes in languages, who created everything from Black Speech to Elvish. I mean, come on, if you've never read The Lord of the Rings, there are appendices in the back that explain the prefixes and suffixes of what all these different words in Elvish mean. Because that's just how language works. Tolkien would 110% be the kind of game master that would require you to do some research on how your elf should speak Elvish. This would absolutely suck. Anything that requires more than very basic, rudimentary, general knowledge for your character to start in a region of the game world, anything more than that sucks. It's homework. It's terrible. It's horrifying for the hobby. There are too many of you that are actually doing that unironically, and you need to stop. Another thing too. So the narratives. Now I do need to differentiate between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings in this one, because first and foremost, The Hobbit would probably actually work because there is some semblance of choice for Bilbo. It is more towards his sense of duty, basically his word, his honor, to go with Thorn and company, even though he never really volunteered to go. Now his honors it, and plus that Tookish side of him, he wants to go off into the wild blue and see all the wonders of the world and have mad adventures and all that. So there is a semblance of choice for Bilbo. The stakes are not very high. Make some money, come back if you live to tell the tale. Frodo doesn't really have a choice. The ring is thrust onto him. The world's going to end, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But he's got to go to Mordor. He has to. He has no choice. He has to. The alternative is he doesn't, and now civilization is enslaved. So now to get deeper into that, why that would suck, is because now we have an earth-shattering event. I absolutely despise earth-shattering events in games. Something that has consequences for a region or a nation or whatever, okay, fine. But generally speaking, the world is not going to stop turning if the players fail to do this or that. The world is going to keep spinning. Whether you slay the dragon or not, the world keeps spinning with or without that dragon and with or without those characters. That's just the way it is. Civilization is going to be enslaved by Sauron if Frodo doesn't go to Mordor. And that's the thing, because it's very popular in this hobby for people to have campaigns, which are not really campaigns. They're more like very long one-shots that last multiple sessions of this very high-stakes quest. And then they end it and call it a campaign because there's no way they can follow it up with those same characters. It's terrible. And you should stop doing it because it's unironically horrible. And so There you go. I mean, that's just not the way that games should be ran. It really shouldn't. Like, because how do you follow that up? You can't. So it's why I don't run them. I think they're horrible. They work as books. They work as narratives. They they suck as games. And that's the thing too. A lot of people fail to understand the reason why Tolkien works as a story. It's because he explores a lot of concepts such as faith, honor, duty, chivalry, friendship, loyalty, etc., etc. He explores these themes in his stories. Very morally upright, upstanding concepts, very Christian concepts too. And most people don't see that because it turns out that their worldviews are more in line with Sauron's than they are Tolkien's. But and if that makes you mad, you're the kind of person I like to make mad anyway. So you can go now. But anyways, those work as narratives. If you try to, you can explore these things in games, but there's a very fine line, and most of the time people ham fist it in, and it doesn't work. Whether we're talking about chivalry or Nietzscheanism, when you shoehorn something like that in, it's very much felt. So it's kind of one of those things of like there's a very fine line, and very few people can pull it off seamlessly. So instead of having, so now this part where what my alternative would be, instead of having J.R.R. Tolkien as a game master, you should actually want Robert E. Howard. Why do I say Robert E. Howard? Well, let's take, and I'm going to, and again, love Robert E. Howard, love Conan the Barbarian. So I'm going to very broadly generalize every single synopsis for Conan the Barbarian written by Robert E. Howard that you could possibly have. Conan is surviving. Nothing Conan does is earth-shattering in any way. He's not out to change the world. That's not what he's trying to do. He's not out to save the world. That's not what he's trying to do. Conan is just going along the stream of fate. Here's where his life is in that stream. How does he respond? How he responds might affect the political and military, and sometimes even the religious landscape of the region, and economic landscape of the region. But the world is going to keep turning whether Conan lives or dies. So Conan is just going to keep living because that's just how life really works. So instead of that, having these big earth-shattering events, how about we for once put some verisimilitude back into our games and actually have games that actually mean something to the characters, not the players' preconceived notions, but what the characters are actively going, because the characters are living in a world. Doesn't mean much if they're not trying to survive in that world. If they're just looking for something that the players are just going to metagame into being like, how do you even have a concept of a lich at level 1? You don't. You shouldn't. So why would they even think a plague is a lich thing? People get sick. It's just what happens. So instead of making it the act of this dark lord in your game, this is just fate. So that's how you should approach it. So anyway, that's me taking a meme way too seriously and overanalyzing it. As always, guys, take care. God bless, and see you on the other side. I'll have some actual more gameplay related stuff coming out soon. So thank you, fellas.